Okay, everyone. Good morning and welcome to the second Student Success Day of Fall 2022. I'm Kathleen Jackson. I am the Career Advisor here in the College of Business, and I also coordinate, which basically just means I make sure that the right people are in the right sections, the 390 program. And in conjunction with the other instructors, we've written the course that's delivered to all of you. So thank you for being here.
And good morning. My name is Lynn Finnegan. I'm the Experiential Ed Coordinator for the College of Business. So I basically work in the area of internships. So internships for credit. And I work closely with Kathleen, obviously, because the two things that we do together go together for searching for jobs and internships. So resumes, cover letters, career events, you name it. So thanks for being here on a Saturday morning, and we'll get through this.
Lynn, are there any tips that you want to give them in advance?
I'll be sharing a couple of videos from that are developed by Handshake that I'll put in the chat. So be ready to kind of capture those and save them maybe on a Word document. And then I will be sharing my screen in a few minutes to show you where things are on the College of Business website, that so you can go back and reference them later on. That's pretty much all that I have to share for tips.
Okay. A number of people have asked if there's any assignment that has to be submitted for Student Success Day. And the bottom line is it's that your attendance is what matters. We, or I should say Zoom, is taking attendance of you, of when you came into the session and if you left the session early or came late. And that list is what's going to be sent to your instructors, and that's how you will get points for this. So there's nothing that you have to physically hand in as a result of this, but the information that we're covering is something that I said before will help you with your resume, your cover letter, your LinkedIn profile, which are all assignments. And then obviously with looking for an internship or a full-time job. So with that said, the topics that we're covering are resume, cover letter, thank you letter, how to search for an internship and important information about an internship, and then what you really need to know to make a strategic LinkedIn profile. Because Supply Chain Night is coming up on Tuesday, just so that we'll have a sample resume up to kind of talk through. Lynn's going to pull that up now, and even though it's supply chain that's up there, what I will do is I'll add in the variables from the different majors as we go through. If you have questions, pop them into the chat room and we'll try to follow that really closely. And then if you've got one-on-one questions, I'm happy to stay after and get those questions answered with you.
And Kathleen, could you allow me to share the screen? It's saying I can't.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's
Yeah.
okay. And I'll walk through where you can find this information once I start sharing. So I'm going to leave my mic on, and I will. Can I do it now?
And I gotta get JKL. Okay. Are you registered?
Yes.
There you are. Now you're gone again. Sorry, folks. All right, I'm going to do this one more time.
So as she's doing that, I know sometimes people like to bookmark where I'm going to find this. So I'll just walk you through. I'm going to go to the College of Business website. So the URI College of Business website. I'm going to go into the area that says student support. Under student support, you will find career services, and under career services, you will find a tab that says resume. So I'm going to be going to that area. One of the things that I always suggest before Kathleen goes through an actual resume is I suggest that students look at all the different resumes that are samples there, and you will see that the body of the resumes are a little bit different. So some are more case competitions, some of them are more classwork, some are more work, some are internships, there's leadership. So you'll definitely want to take a look at those at some point. Okay, it's working now. So let me go over here and bring this up. So you should be looking at right now the main page of the College of Business. And I'm going to scroll down to student support, like I had just said. I'm going to scroll down to career services. And then I'm going to bring up the resumes. And Kathleen had asked me to open up the supply chain one.
Yes, please.
Sure. And there you go.
Okay, so what you're looking at right now is a format. The format has pretty much been well, we went out and we talked to all the employers and we said, you know, what are you looking for in a resume? How do you want it set up? And the format that you're seeing here is a result of conversations that we've had with them over a number of years. So obviously, the first thing on a resume is an employer needs to know who you are, and they need to know how to get in touch with you. What we found over time is that, you know, the old street address, or sometimes you would have campus address, home address, those things really aren't important anymore, because what has happened over time is that there are two ways that an employer is going to reach out to you. They're either going to reach out to you via your email address or via usually your cell phone. So you want to be sure that the phone number and the email address that you have on your resume are in fact the two means of communication that you check. So when they contact you, you can get their message and then get going as far as the internship process is concerned. Now, the way the resume is laid out is that the most important things that you have to offer should be the things that appear at the top of the resume. So for all of you, unless you've been out in the workforce for like 5 or 10 years, the most important thing that you have to offer is the fact that you are earning a bachelor's degree. So your education should be the first section at the top of the page. And as you look at this document, you'll see that under education, you begin with the university granting the degree. So the University of Rhode Island, Kingston, Rhode Island. The second line is going to be your degree. And unless you are in textile marketing, everybody in this room is getting a Bachelor of Science degree in business administration. And on that line over toward the right, you're going to put simply your graduation date. So it would be the month and then the year. The third line is where you put your major. And in this instance, it's supply chain management. Save bolding for the important things. So to me, your major is important. If you had a minor, your minor is important. If you had a 4.0, the 4.0 might be important. So I see a lot of resumes that come in where the dates are bolded and the locations are bolded. Really, the only thing that should be bolded are really those important things that you want to stand out. So speaking of GPA and Dean's List, that would be the fourth line. So a resume rule is that if your GPA is a 3.0 or better, you put it on your resume. And if it's less than a 3.0, you leave it off. So in this instance, Ryan has a 3.7 GPA. He went on to say that it's out of a 4.0. There are some schools that have like a 5.0 system. You can put it on there if you want to. You don't have to put that 4.0. Most of them are through a 4.0 at this point. And then if you've made the Dean's List, and that would be a designation that would show up on your transcript, you definitely want to include that on your resume so an employer would know that you've received academic honors for the work that you've done in your program. The other things that can go on your resume or under your education section would be any academic awards, honors, or scholarships that you are part of. So if you've received a scholarship, that's an important thing to put on. If you have been accepted into one of the honor societies in the College of Business or at URI, you want to include that. If you do a study abroad program or a J-term abroad program, or the transfer programs that they have within the country, that's all an important thing to include because it shows a different level of education that you've been involved in. And then until the time that you've had an internship or a related job, you want to include a line that says related coursework. Now, on this line, you don't put down every course that you've taken. So it should be selective. You want to take a look at all of your courses, and you want to pick 3 or 4 of your major courses that relate to the kind of job that you're looking for. And then you simply list them across the page like they're shown here, separated by a comma. When you have now gotten related experience, you don't have to include them on anymore. You can delete that section. But for now, that's where a related coursework section would go. Now, more and more of the majors are developing professional certifications that go along with their coursework. So in this instance, as a supply chain major, at least the yellow belt in the Six Sigma program is included as part of what you do. So if there are professional certifications that go along with your major, you want to include them, because that's one thing that's going to set you apart from other candidates as an employer is evaluating your resume. So Ryan has yellow and green belt certified in Six Sigma. He has also done the Microsoft Excel certification class. I checked with one of the academic advisors yesterday, and I'm almost positive the number that goes along with that is BAI 301. And in the instance of supply chain, there is a CTL, which is a certification in transportation and logistics that you might get as part of your degree. And so that's what Ryan has put up there as certifications. Now, for those of you who are accounting majors, there's not really a certification, but what an employer wants to see is the fact that you know you need 150 credits to sit for your CPA, and they want to know how you plan on getting that. So you can either get you can get the 150 credit hours that you need, either by taking additional credits on the undergraduate level, or you can stay for a 5th year and do a master's program, or do a master's program anywhere else. But they would need to know that, because that's how they determine when they're going to offer you an internship. In terms of finance, the certification that is built into your curriculum is the Bloomberg Marketing Certification. Many finance majors also choose to do the Microsoft Excel certification. And those are the big ones that I can think of off the top of my head for finance. For marketing, there are many, what you could do instead of calling it professional certifications is many times it's your social media expertise or your computer expertise that's going to help you. So I would just tweak that heading a little bit, and whatever platforms you're familiar with, you want to put them there. And I know that there's a lot of Google certifications that are popping up. If you do any of those Google certifications as a marketing person, you want to include them there as well. The same would hold true for management. So if you're a management major, you definitely want to do the Excel certification. I think Excel is going to help you stand out regardless of your major. Some of you in management might be going through a human resources track where there might be something that you could pull out there. So those are just the things that I want you to think about. Same thing with general business, global business. Those certifications could certainly be the Microsoft Excel certification, and then any special Google certifications or major specific certifications that might get added into your class. Put it up there and make yourself shine. Now, the next thing that you want to be thinking about as far as your resume is concerned is have you already had related experience? So related experience could be an internship, it could be a summer job, or it could be a related project. We're going to start at the top and assume that you had either an internship or a job. So you list everything in that section in reverse chronological order. And what that means is what you have done most recently going backwards. For each entry, you want to include the company that you worked for and where it's located. On the next line, you want to put your title and then your dates of employment. Then you're going to sit back for a minute and you're going to say, okay, what did I do as part of that internship? What were the supply chain or finance or accounting specific duties that I performed? And you want to think about the things that relate to your major. So maybe the most important thing you did in that internship, or what you did the most, was maybe you answered the phone. Well, that's not going to get you hired in your next job. So you want to think about the highest level thing that you did in your internship or your job that relates to where you want to go. And that's what you want to list first. And then you kind of go down in level of importance. I would say 4 or 5 bullets. In those 4 or 5 bullets, you want to talk about what you did, a verb and a phrase. You want to talk about what you learned. So what did you learn about specifically working at Massport? Or what did you learn about just working in the supply chain industry? And you want to write them that learning experience across, again, with a verb and a phrase, very short and very clipped. And if there were any accomplishments, you want to list that accomplishment. So if you were named intern of the month, if you were selected to go on a conference with the full-time employees, those would be things that you would want to include under that position. And then you're going to move back to the next related experience that you had. So maybe you didn't have a related experience, but I know in almost every supply chain course and in most of the other major courses, they're trying to put in projects that you do. So the project is another way for you to show an employer that you have the skills that they're looking for. And so let's say it was international trade. That's the name of the course. You list that in place of the company. And over on the right-hand side, you're going to put the semester that you took it. And then you're going to do a bullet, a verb, and a phrase to convey what you did in the class that relates to this next internship or full-time job that you're looking for. So again, it's always, you want to get as close as you can to supply chain or your major terminology in terms of the verbs that you pick. So how would either your employer or your faculty member describe the function that you're trying to talk about? That's how you want to describe it. And then you write the phrase that goes along with it. And also in a lot of jobs, in most jobs, there are soft skills that you're developing that are also important. So the ability to work in a team, the ability to multitask, strong organizational skills, presentation skills. In supply chain, a big thing is your ability to work in a cross-functional team. So those terms, you want to be sure that they're embedded in your resume somewhere, either under a job or under a related project. So an employer knows that you can talk the talk of your major just by reading your resume. After you go through anything that's related, then you're going to move on to a section that's called Other Experience. And so what I see up on my screen right now is The Gap. Is Tony's Pizza. And most of you have these kinds of jobs. Remember, you're only going to be focusing on what you've done in college. So the stuff that you've done in high school, it's important, but your focus is to do a solid 1-page resume to send out to people. So those high school jobs tend to get pushed off the page going in that reverse chronological format. So in Tony's Pizza, everybody knows that you're going to be taking orders and delivering food to the table or bussing the table. But what Ryan chose to focus on is the fact that he used really strong customer service skills and time management skills in his job. And he gained an understanding of what it was like to work in a family-owned, multi-location business. So that's what you want to be thinking about as you start crafting and winnowing and perfecting your resume. And then after you go through your experience, you want to think about, what else did I do? Have I been involved on campus? Have I been involved in a fraternity or a sorority? Have I done volunteer work? Have I been involved in the community? And then you want to list the areas that you've been involved in. So clubs and organizations. If you've held a leadership position, begin with that. If you've been selected to speak, if you were selected to be in a case competition, those are all things that an employer would want to know about. And those are all things that you can fit into that section. Now, the section names, the hard and fast ones, tend to be your education, your experience, your certifications. Sometimes what you've done more than anything is leadership experience, and maybe you're a management major. So leadership and management, it's kind of like the same name, but just in different venues. So you could create a section that's called leadership experience and put your RA job, your orientation assistant job, your tour guide position under there. So you can make the other sections work for you. But the goal is to find a way to express to an employer that you can talk the talk and you've got the theory and you're ready to use this theory in the job that you're applying for. So I think that's everything I want to say about resumes. I'm going to check the chat room to see if there's anything there. If you have any questions, pop them in or unmute yourself and call them out. And Lynn, did I forget anything?
No, you went through everything. I think it's good. Just a reminder that there is samples of the leadership in other resumes. So you can find that kind of wording that she talked about, or case competitions, if you want to put them and list them like the related experience section. I'm going to bring up the thank you letter, because we're doing that next in case anyone has any questions.
You mean cover letter?
Yeah, cover letter, sorry.
So one of the biggest questions I get is, do I need to do a cover letter? And the assumption is that unless an employer in a job posting has specifically said, do not include a cover letter, the assumption is that you need to do a cover letter. The employers use it for a couple of reasons. First of all, they want to know that you understand what it's like to produce professional communication. So every time you would submit a proposal, there's usually a cover document that goes with it. When you're talking about a job application, the cover document is called a cover letter. The other thing is many employers use your writing in your cover letter as a sample of your written communication skills. So a lot of students think I'm going to write one really generic cover letter and kind of blast it out there. That's not going to help you. You really want to, for each position that you're applying to, you want to read the job description. You want to take a look at what the key words are. And what I mean by that is when you get to that section of the job where it says qualifications, or this is what we're looking for in a candidate, those are the key words. And you want to think about your experiences and what in your experience can you talk about that matches that need or qualification that they're talking about. Now, what you're seeing as far as Amelia Smith's cover letter is concerned is a format that I like. And basically what it is it's that you're copying the header from your resume onto a blank Word document. And so up there, you've got your name, your address, or at least your phone number and your email address. And there's no need to put that information anywhere else. It also makes it look cleaner and crisper to me, and it makes it look like you've got your own personal stationery. So that's the format that we're talking about here. Underneath that line, under all that information, you would include the date on which you're sending the letter. And then even though your document is going to be submitted online, you are going to put the full contact information as if you were writing an envelope out. You're going to put the contact information for the company. So it begins with the person's name and his or her title, if you know it. You're going to put the title of the organization. You're going to put the street address, and then the city, state, and zip code. And then you're going to leave one double space. Then you're going to put the greeting. So dear Mr. or Ms., whoever the contact person is, the prefix, the Mr. or Ms., and then the last name, and then a colon. And then you're going to do a 3-paragraph cover letter. Each paragraph has a function. Some paragraphs are easier to write than others, and the length of each paragraph is a little bit different. So on the top paragraph, the purpose is to indicate the position that you're applying for. Some companies like to know how you've heard about it. Either you can find it on Handshake, you could find it in the College of Business newsletter, you could find it on Indeed, you could find it on LinkedIn. Maybe you were referred to the position by either a family member or a neighbor or a friend's family member. If there's a connection in there, you want to include it because it means that somebody in the organization thinks that you've got the qualifications that are needed for this position. So that's a really good thing to put in if in fact it applies. Maybe you met or heard about a company or the position at a supply chain night, accounting night, finance night, career day. Maybe it was a speaker that came to a club. Whatever that connection is, you want to make that connection in the top paragraph. And then your last line should be sort of a hook. So what can you put in that last sentence to make them want to read the second 2 paragraphs? So to me, that opening paragraph is kind of easy. The challenge is making that little connection at the end. But I think that's an easy one. And it's usually maybe 3 or 4 sentences at the most. Your middle paragraph is the challenging one, because in the middle paragraph, what you're going to do is you're going to first take a look at their qualifications, and then you're going to look at all the experience that you've had, and you're going to decide which of your experiences match what they're looking for, and that's what you put in the middle paragraph. So that them and me T-bar that I've got in there doesn't really go in your cover letter, but it's kind of like a worksheet that you can do on the side to help you write that middle paragraph. So I always make a list of the skills or qualifications or qualities that they're looking for. And then next to it, I go, okay, of everything that I've done, classes that I've taken, research that I've done, jobs that I've had, people that I've met, books that I've read, what's the best example I have that I can meet that qualification? And you just kind of set those things up on a line by line. And after you get them down, then you kind of turn them into sentences and kind of finesse it a little bit so that it reads well. And that becomes the middle paragraph of your cover letter. So for those of you who have already gone through and done the work for week 3, you know that video that you watched, which is called Beat the Bot. Well, what's going to happen is when your documents go into a company, there's usually a system that's going to review your document before it gets assigned to a person. So how you beat the bot is through this section of your cover letter. It's actually using the keywords from the job description and putting them in your letter and your resume so that when the documents go through, the system says, yep, this is somebody that you want to see. This is somebody that needs personal eyes on it, as opposed to just going in the no pile. So take your time to work on that middle paragraph. It's probably 6 or 8 sentences long. My trick is I usually try to come up with sort of like an overriding first sentence, like I am currently a marketing major, a junior marketing major at the College of Business at URI, and then go on to talk about those matches with your qualifications. And I think that's all I want to say about that, but we can, if you've got questions, let's throw them out. And then the third paragraph is a simple one. It simply says, enclosed is a copy of my resume that further outlines my experience. Thank you for your time and consideration. I look forward to hearing from you soon. And then you leave 1 double space. You type the word sincerely and you type your name. There's no need to leave the 3 or 4 spaces that they used to tell you to leave between sincerely and your name, because you really don't handwrite a signature on there. And I wouldn't put your signature out there electronically because somebody could copy it. So I think just do sincerely and your name, and then you're good to go. Now, as far as documents are concerned, and this came up in a really important way this past week, once your instructors have given you feedback on your documents and you're ready to send them out, before you send them, you want to save your documents as a PDF, and that's how you want to send them. Because especially Google Docs, but also with Mac, and not knowing what program is reading your document on the other end, formatting can get really messed up. So you want to lock the formatting that you have on your screen in place by saving it and sending it as a PDF. Lynn, what did I forget?
I think you hit everything. Yeah, I think it's all there. I think just being aware of the spacing in the paragraph. It shouldn't be double spaced. Sometimes I've seen that, not all the time. It's not an essay paper. So those are like single spaced. Just a reminder, the T thing right in the middle here doesn't go in your paragraph. It's just that's the way to break it down so you can write the paragraph. I find it's easier to write sentences than bullets because you have to be a pretty strong writer to write that middle paragraph with bullets. And the only other thing when it comes to internships and jobs is what I've found is when people ask for a cover letter, there's usually less people that apply. What I find is that that's a weeding out system for 2 things, as Kathleen referenced before, how you professionally write and that you know how to, but also if it's a job that you're going to have to be writing, they want to see that you can do that, or they keep the candidate pool low because a lot of people don't want to take the time for the cover letter. I'm going to bring up the thank you letter in case anyone has any questions, Kathleen, just so you know.
Okay, we go over the thank you letter now because the assumption is that you're going to use all of the tips and tricks that we just told you about and your expertise, and you're going to land a really good interview. And what's going to make you stand out at the other end of the interview? It's the fact that you send a thank you letter or note or email. I think the email is the fastest, and things just seem to be moving faster and faster in the means of communication these days. So that's the method that we recommend that you use. If you have an interview in the morning, before you go to bed at night, you should have sent a thank you email because the employers are expecting it to be there. So with an email, the one thing that you want to be sure of is that you have a good subject line. I know some people don't know what to call it. And so they don't put anything there. And so basically an employer would think, well, I don't know what this is. This is spam. And so I'm not going to open it. And so then you don't get credit for sending an email. So a good subject line could be follow up to accounting interview. Thank you email from Lynn Finnegan. Whatever you want to put in that subject line, it's going to be something that's going to catch an employer's attention so that they go on and read it. Something that we didn't talk about on the cover letter, but it's good to talk about it here, is that sometimes in companies, there's a lot of informality when you're talking with people. It's like, oh, call me Lynn or call me Kathleen. And that's great when you and I are talking face to face. But when you are writing a business letter or a business thank you note, you should be using the person's formal name. So it should be Dear Mr. or Ms. and that person's last name. It shouldn't be Dear Lynn or Dear Kathleen or Dear Tom. And so that would be your greeting. And then just like your cover letter, your thank you letter is going to be 3 paragraphs long. And again, each paragraph has a purpose. So the purpose of the first paragraph is that you're thanking the person for the opportunity to interview. Because they have so many of these that are probably coming in, you want to list the title of the position that you applied for and the date that you interviewed. And then before you finish that first paragraph, you want to think about, what's my biggest takeaway? Like from everything I learned during that 45 or hour and a half interview, what makes me really impressed with this company, and what makes me really hopeful that I'm either brought in for a second interview or offered the position? And whatever that thing is, that's the final sentence of your first paragraph. In the middle paragraph, you are going to rematch your skills with what you learned during the interview. So I'm sure a lot of those key words are going to apply, but maybe during an interview, they talked about this new product that they're getting ready to launch. And you are really excited about the product and the concept and being on the open, the starting end of things. That would be an additional match that you want to make for the person. The fact that you like to be on the innovative side of things. Maybe they talk about a project or a challenge that their company is facing. And if you have the skills and the interest to help them meet that challenge, then you want them to know about it, and B, they're going to want to bring you back or hire you. So those are the kinds of things that you include in your middle paragraph. And then just like with your cover letter, the closing paragraph is a short, sweet one, but it's just instead of just ending the email dead end, you just kind of finesse it again. And from everything I've learned, I'm even more interested and hopeful in becoming part of your team. If you need any additional information, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Thank you, and I look forward to hearing from you soon. And then you leave a double space, you type the word sincerely, and you type your name. Be sure with all of your documents that you're doing a spell check and a grammar check. And I know one of the things that Lynn and I do is we read our documents out loud before we send them, because you can kind of get distracted, like you're typing away and your phone bings. And so then you look at it and you lost where you were in the, in your sentence, and you make a mistake. So make sure that you proof everything before you send it out. And then when you're ready, you hit send. What did I forget, Lynn?
I just wanted to make sure that in this document that they're aware that this is the email version, but if you wanted the formal version, that's the first page of it. So you'd kind of use the heading the same way. I just wanted them to be aware that it was there in case they scroll through and didn't see it right away.
Sure.
I'm going to stop sharing my page so that I can bring up Handshake and Indeed, and then I'll start sharing again so you can filter any questions.
Sure. If anybody has any questions, like I said, either unmute yourself and jump in or put them in the chat room. I'm monitoring the chat right now. Yes, you can include your LinkedIn, that link at the top of your LinkedIn profile. You can include that. You could put it up on the line with your phone number, with your email address, and your LinkedIn link could go right there. Thanks, Amanda. We're going to give you a break from listening to me for a while, and Lynn's going to talk about internships and the internship process. So I'm not sure if everybody can see the chat room. Jenna just asked if we were a part of a paper that got submitted to a global conference, where is the best place to put that? That's a great question. So that could either be put, Jenna, depending on what your other experiences look like, you could either put it under related experience, or remember I talked about you could create headings, and we've got a couple of samples of this in all the resumes that are included. Sometimes there's a section that can be called academic highlights or notable accomplishments. And so depending on what else you have, you could either create a section and put it there, or you could put it under related experience. Great question. Thank you.
All right, so I put in the chat 2 videos that Handshake puts together that give you some cute, good, helpful tips for searching on Handshake. So they have, one of the videos is like 5 things to do on the first 5 days of Handshake. And then the other one is kind of like just how to search on Handshake, instead of having you watch it in right now for like 2 or 3 minutes each, or a minute and a half each. I put them in the chat. You can capture them and just kind of look at them. The main thing with those videos, just so you're aware, it's the profile. Your profile is the most important piece. So, and that's the case kind of with any search engine, is your profile. So what are you looking for? When are you looking for? And where are you looking for? Is it an internship? Is it in New York City? Is it during the summer? All of those things, as long as you keep your profile updated, whether it be in Indeed, whether it be in LinkedIn, whether it be in Handshake, and so on, the system is smart enough to message you whatever you're looking for. So if you're looking currently right now for summer internships in New York City in finance, you should update your profile so that those things will appear and you'll be messaged. Indeed is, I think it's really easy to use. The main thing is that you want to kind of put in some keywords. So they give you some to pick from, but I usually put in something like internship. And then maybe I'll do accounting, since we just had public accounting night. And then it always picks the area where you are. So I'm in Westerly right now, but if I was looking for something, I'd probably do, say, Providence, Rhode Island, if I needed something closer to campus. And then the nice part about this is you can go through and you can see that there's a finance internship for the summer already posted. You can go in, you're going to apply on the company website. Some tips about whether you're looking for, if you're a senior taking this class and you're looking for a full-time job, or you're a sophomore taking this class, or a junior and you're looking for an internship, I always recommend that once you find the job that you're going to be applying to, is you copy the job posting and put it on a Word document. So let's say I was really interested in this finance internship for summer of 2023. I would go in, follow the directions, look at the qualifications or responsibilities like Kathleen had referenced, create my documents. I would take my documents, I would save them on my desktop in a folder, and then I would take a Word document and I'd copy and paste the job description. You can copy and paste the link, but usually they electronically take it down so you can't find it again. So that's something that you'd want to look at. Some things you want to take advantage of is this area right up here, where they're looking at job type, if it's remote or not. So there's one position that's remote. And then location. So you can go through and see, oh, look, there's 7 in Cranston, Rhode Island. Well, that's closer to campus. Might want to go there, and you can go through and find it that way. So Indeed, I know I've gone in and put in things that I'm looking for to test, and then the system Indeed will email me back. So that's a quick overview of Indeed. Again, just be aware that companies pay for this. This is not a free service. So if you really are interested in J&J and you want an internship there, but you're not into finance, I would recommend you go and look at their careers site, their employee site, or internship site. They call it something different, but take a look at their job posting area, because sometimes they'll only put 2 or 3 of their jobs up there, and then you'll find like there's 6 or 7 other ones that could be interesting to you. So that's Indeed. I'm going to go over to Handshake. Kathleen, can you see Handshake? Okay, great. So something's going on with the service, so we know that. So this is a student view. My view as an admin is not very attractive. So your view is nice. Make your profile, attend an event, comes up right away. You're going to be looking through kind of these areas here. When you're going to look for jobs, they have the very similar buttons that were on the Indeed page. So location, let's do New York, just for the sake of it. I'm looking for an internship. And then we can put in marketing, finance, accounting. So let's see what they have for marketing. I did not test this before, so who knows? And there is a couple of internships that are posted. There's one at IBM, and you can go through. Now, the nice part about all of these databases is if you use this little area here, what is it, a bookmark? You can get messages sent to you every single time Macy's, it happens to Macy's that I did, messages something in the system. So that's really, really important, because now you're kind of following that company. You can always go back in and unfollow if you're getting too many messages too. But it's good to kind of keep a tab on everything. So as you can see right now, it's fall and we're already seeing summer internships posted. And you can see that there's things in the location, New York City. You can also search for remote. Some of those are keywords with Handshake, Indeed. I guess that's one good thing that came out of COVID, that we now have remote opportunities, which makes it better for students who may not have the money. I know when I was a student, I never had the money to go live in New York City for the summer or go live in California. But now it's kind of a game changer, because you could look for an experience that is remote, that's in another state, that maybe you can't live there or don't want to spend the money living there, but you can still work for that company. And just be aware that internships are paying pretty well. I mean, some of them are high in the 20s, and then some of them are minimum wage. So it's all over the place. So you can get paid internships. When it comes to internships, so you've gone through this process, you have a fantastic resume, fantastic cover letter, you went through and did your interviewing, you landed an internship, and now you're going to have to decide, do I want to earn academic credit? If you want to be earning academic credit, please be aware that you need to be working at the internship at the same time that you're taking the class. The class is fully online in Brightspace, and the class will run fall, spring, or summer. So you'd reach out to me through an email. I can send you the documents and we can get you signed up for the class. Students have an option of taking 3 or 6 credits towards their 100. It can count towards their 120 credits that they need for graduation. So be aware of that. Fall and spring can be part of your tuition that you normally pay 19 credits for to take. And summer, every class that you take, no matter where it is always not part of tuition. So that would cost you money. So just be aware if you need to be managing that. You can always send me an email if you need more details. A lot of students are coming in with AP credit. A lot of students caught up with credits and have too many credits. So maybe credit isn't enough. You don't want to do credit. No, just be aware that you can earn pay, do credits at the same time. So that's something that people get a little confused about. So yes, you can choose to earn credit and you can get paid at the same time from the company. The pay is from the company, not from URI. So the pay is from the company, unless it's a URI internship that's paying, like at the Ryan Center or something like that. So that's the quick version of searching, finding stuff, staying organized. And then you have some of those videos in the chat that you can kind of look at a later date. I talked about internships for credit, pay. There are some credits, some internships that you don't get paid for, but are great learning experiences. So that's another way to plug in credit for those too. And then also geographically searching for internships, where you can find them in different locations. Are there any questions that anyone has about internships? Another piece that I like to kind of highlight is that employers are looking for you to have experiences. And as Kathleen referenced, you have a lot of experience with the academics that you're taking and the project work that you're doing. They do like to see other types of internships. And that's the part where now, as you're learning about this, how do I plug this in? If you're some of those students that didn't get an opportunity because of COVID, how can I creatively plug this in maybe the spring before I graduate? So there's a lot of things that you can do now to kind of plan, even for spring if you're graduating in May. But those the experiences, even the non-paid ones that are, you're doing the work, those are the things that are going to set you out from the other candidates because of the experience piece.
Okay, Lynn, there's nothing in the chat room, so why don't we pull up the LinkedIn sheet from the College of Business webpage. And so here's what happens when you apply for a job. So oftentimes you could meet somebody at one of the career fairs. So you could meet somebody at accounting night, supply chain night, finance night, career day, and you've really made an impression on an employer. Oftentimes they'll go back and they'll check LinkedIn to see if you have a profile. If you're applying for a job, your documents will come in. You'll have gotten through the whole scanning thing. You're on their desk. They're going to see how you represented yourself online. They're going to go to your LinkedIn profile. And so you want to be sure that if you have a LinkedIn profile, it's a good strategic LinkedIn profile before you start applying for positions. So the document that is listed here on the College of Business webpage is a document that has been created by LinkedIn to tell you how you can create the best profile possible. So they've got them in a little bit of a different order. I kind of start at the top and start with the number 2 bullet that they make, which is pick an appropriate picture. So you want to be sure that you have a professional headshot on your LinkedIn profile. We are going to be doing headshots on career day in the afternoon over in the Memorial Union. So you can certainly do it there. What you want to avoid is one of those pictures where you've cut out everybody else that was at a wedding with you, at something that's too casual. You want it to be a really appropriate and professional picture that represents how you are going to represent the company when you go work there. And then right under your name is what shows up as number 1 here, which is write an informative profile headline. So that's that one line that appears under your name. And one of the things that I see students do all the time is they'll write student at URI. Well, what I want you to think about is how an employer searches and what that line really means. They search for, well, you want that line to be what they're searching for. So if you are a junior management major seeking a summer internship in human resources, that's what your header should be, because that's how an employer is going to search, and then your name will pop up. Very few employers are going to be just looking for a student at URI. I don't think that ever happens. So you want to be more specific in terms of what are you looking to do? Where are you looking to go? Where are you right now? So a little bit of a definitive thing, which is usually your major and your year, and then what it is that you're looking for. And that should be your headline. Now, the other areas that should appear on your LinkedIn profile is there is a section that's called, sometimes it's called about, and sometimes it's called summary. And it's a very short paragraph that you would write that's almost like the written version of tell me about yourself. So tell me about yourself in relation to the world of work, what you're looking for, what your strengths and your abilities are, and what you hope to bring to the workforce. So it's a very short paragraph. It's written in the first person. So it's like, I do this, I do that. You never get a chance to do that. I'll tell you, this is a hard one to write. I think it took me a whole day to write mine, because you're thinking about, how do I want to say it? I'm really introducing myself to the world as a professional. So what do I want to say? And so those are the things that would go there. Obviously, you're going to have your education section. And under your experience section, you want to be sure that you're writing the same things that are in your resume. So a lot of times students will just like write a company after company after company. You want to put those duties in there, because remember, an employer might be spending more time on LinkedIn than they're looking at your resume. So it all depends. Did your resume go in, and then are they looking at LinkedIn, or are they just doing a search to see who's out there? And then your name would pop up. And I remember a number of years ago, we had a supply chain student who came in to see me, and she said, I don't know what to do. And I said, what's the matter? She goes, I got an email from Google. They said they found me on LinkedIn, and they wanted to know if I knew of anyone that had a background similar to mine. So she was a supply chain major, and she had done an internship, I think in Brazil. I don't know how she did that, but so she had the Portuguese speaking language there, and that's what they were looking for. And she said, what should I do? And I said, write back and tell them that you're interested in the position. So she got involved in that hiring process. So again, those are the things that you want to think about. Are there elements to your background that are going to help you stand out? And you want to be sure that you've got them positioned in there somehow. You can put your certifications if you have them. You can put your activities and your community involvement and your volunteer experience, but those are the different sections that are going to go into your LinkedIn profile. And I know it's still a couple of weeks away, but when you get there, we've kind of laid it out, and obviously we've given you this link, but it's a good thing to start thinking about now in terms of, how do you want to lay your profile out? And what steps do you need to take between now and career day to make sure that you've got your profile ready to go when you need it? Lynn, did I forget anything? And then are there any questions from everyone in the group?
No, I think you covered everything. I'm going to kind of make the connection between everything we kind of talked about. So the connection would be, as Kathleen started with the resume, so having your correct degree, a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration, the correct major. So those things, recruiters, employers are looking for that. When you think about how they translate through everything that we talked about, your profile, what you're looking for in Indeed, Handshake, and then when you connect it through with LinkedIn, you got to remember that there's also recruiters on LinkedIn, as Kathleen just referred to, looking for that. So you can search on LinkedIn for jobs and internships also, but you want to make sure that you put the due diligence, as Kathleen had recommended, in those areas, because then a recruiter will know what your next steps are and when you're graduating. So just something as simple as May 2023 not being on your resume if you're a senior, or if you're a junior and you're graduating the next year in 2020 to 24, the recruiter doesn't know where you fall for them in, are you looking for a full-time job? Are you looking for an internship? And this happens a lot with students who are going on for a master's degree. So those are things that can kind of trip up people when they're looking at your documents. They don't have any way to clarify. So now when you see all of these things brought together, and then someone's looking to fill a position, maybe in supply chain, maybe in accounting, it could be for an internship or a job, this is what your documents need to tell the reader of kind of the next step. And all of those things really matter. Any questions?
I don't see any questions coming up right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take just a couple of minutes to go through the highlights of what we've talked about today. And one of the ways, the way I'm going to choose to do it is I'm going to tell you the problems and the typical corrections that I need to make on a resume. So you can know about it in advance and make sure you don't make those mistakes. So mistake number one that I see on a resume is that people have their degree wrong. Remember, all of you are earning a Bachelor of Science degree in business administration. You're not earning a Bachelor of Science in finance or marketing or management. It's a Bachelor of Science in business administration. And some of you may be earning a dual degree. So if that's the case, like maybe you're doing a language, you would put both of those degrees up under that education section. But the bottom line is you want to be sure that the degree that you write on your resume is the degree that the college is actually granting. The second mistake that I see on a resume, and these aren't necessarily in order of importance, but it has to do with the order, so that you're not necessarily putting things in reverse chronological order in each section. Remember, the most recent thing that you've done in each instance is what should go on the top in that particular section. A lot of times you'll come back after doing a summer job or an internship or whatever, and you just add it to the bottom of what's already there. Well, it's out of order. So you want to be sure that you're putting it in order. And then I think going hand in hand with that, the third thing that I see is that your tense can be off. So a lot of times you will have, in terms of your dates, you will say to the present, but then all your verbs are in the past tense. So you want to be sure that that matches. So either go back and put an end date or keep your verbs in the present tense, but that thing should match. And why does it matter? Because it shows your attention to detail. And if it's making me question it, then an employer is really going to question it. Another thing that I see is that your resume is not updated. So especially during this first round of submitting resumes, cover letters, and thank you letters, a lot of times what I see is people are submitting their Writing 227 or their freshman resume because you just think, well, I've got one, so I'm just going to throw it up there. Our expectation is that you're making the changes that we're talking about so that what we're seeing is the most current and the most recent document that you have. So be sure that each time you have a new experience, you're updating your resume, and then you're changing the order and the importance of what's on your document. Oftentimes I see a 2-page document. Remember, your professional business resume should be a solid 1-page resume. Another error that I see is that your resume isn't strategic. So you didn't take into account the fact that you could have moved things around and you might have been able to say things a little bit of in a different way. Another thing that I see, number 7, is that under your job positions, you're not talking about what you learned and you're not talking about what you accomplished. Remember, those 2 pieces are critical. And regardless of what position you have, you're learning things in the jobs that you're doing. If you were a bartender in Connecticut during COVID, there were things that you learned how to do that you never thought that you would be able to do, or that you never thought you would have to deal with. So those elements are things that you want to consider as you talk about your positions. And then I think the last thing that I want to talk about is just in terms of formatting. The format that we used is the format that we like to see. I know people have come and told us that they've been told that they should use bling and color in a different format to make their resume stand out. It really doesn't. How you want to make your resume stand out is with the words you choose, with the order that you choose, so that your document is easy to read. You're making it easy for the employer to make the connections, as opposed to saying, gee, this thing is way over on the right-hand side. What is that doing over there? Or so the simpler the format is, the better. If you want to have a colorful or a blingy resume that shows your marketing creativity, have both. But I would say in terms of your online submissions, I would submit in a traditional format and be sure your spacing is right. So those are the things I would say about resumes. Cover letters, the biggest problems are not using the correct format, the fact that you wrote a generalized cover letter that you sent to everybody, that you're not doing 3 paragraphs, and that you're reusing a cover letter that you sent to someplace else and you didn't change everything. And that's a glaring mistake that you want to make sure you don't make. Thank you notes, they're too short and there's no subject line and no matching. And LinkedIn, you want to be sure that you've got a professional headshot. You want to be sure that you've got a good headline, that one-liner right under your name. You want to be sure that you've written the experience, the details of your experience under them. You want to be sure that you have a summary. And so those are the things, the kind of like an outline of things that I would like you to remember. Lynn, you got anything that you want to add?
Yeah, I think I just want to add in that if you're reading a job posting and you're saying, I can do that. Oh, that's an awesome internship. That's an awesome job. Your documents need to connect that to the reader. And if you kind of think of it that way, from who's going to be looking at your documents and making the connection, you don't never want them to go, why did they apply? Oh, are they still in school? Should they be applying for a full-time job? Instead, I don't know when they're graduating. You know, those types of things, that becomes a little hard. The other thing I wanted to say is the student newsletter. We send it out every 2 weeks. And in the student newsletter, we highlight, there's a featured area where an employer usually, or an alum has said, we need a URI student to do this, or can you please send this out to students? So you'll definitely want to start. I know we have about a 70-some% open rate. We need an open rate and a read rate to connect to that. So we go through Handshake, we talk to employers, and everything gets posted in that student newsletter. So definitely take the time. I know you get a lot of emails. I know you get a lot of messages in Brightspace, but definitely highlight that if you're looking for a job or an internship, because that's our really our only way to message stuff out to students. Instead of us sending out another email and another email and another email, we tried to condense it all into one so it's valuable. It also, on that student newsletter, connects any of the career events that are happening that through the college. I see someone's raising a hand here.
Yeah, I have a question. What time are they doing headshots on during career day? Is it the whole event, or is it just like a specific time?
I think on the College of Business website, there should be a breakdown of where everything is. It should be in the Memorial Union. And I know since we have 80 employers coming, which is pretty amazing. And that's a tight squeeze in the Memorial Union Ballroom. I think we're going to be using the whole building. So I'm pretty sure that we were trying to identify LinkedIn being put in one of the atriums, which is right near the bus circle on like the stage. I don't know if that's a final, but that's where it will be. And that should be open during the duration of the fair. But I will be over there and I will know for sure, but it's usually posted on the College of Business website where everything is. And you can always ask someone who's running the fair over there. Kathleen will be there, I'll be there, and we can direct you. But definitely take advantage of that so that you can at least get that headshot in there and, you don't have the awesome picture that is so hard to capture and then you had to cut off your friend, and so you're missing your arm or something like that. So definitely take the time for that. That matters. So great question. When I go, just want to remind you all is that on the College of Business website, since you're all asked to attend Career Day and the Career Fair, so Friday's a busy day for everyone. We start out in Edwards with a panel discussion. You can go online and you can see who those people are there. Then we move over to Ballantyne Hall where there's going to be breakout sessions. They do repeat themselves, but there's also the internship and job fair that's going on in the Memorial Union. So there's different areas and different venues. We tried to share like, send maybe freshmen and sophomores at this time and send juniors and seniors at this time. If there's something that doesn't match with your schedule, you can obviously do what's best. If you have a class that wasn't postponed because of Career Day, and you have to attend that, then obviously you have to attend that. Just make sure you're connecting with your 390 instructors if there's a scheduling issue, and then make sure you're attending those areas. We will be swiping in and collecting attendance, so just be aware of that.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, that the LinkedIn photographs start around 11 because I think they're expecting you to go to the keynote and then the career panel in Ballantyne. And then I think the LinkedIn starts shortly after that. But the specific time you can find, I know it's on the College of Business web page under Career Day. Somebody just wrote in the chat that they were logged in under a different person's name. And that's really important for us to know because that's how you're getting credit for attendance. So if two of you are sharing a computer screen or anything like that, by all means, please let us know so we can be sure that you're getting the credit for attendance at this. And other than that, with 10 minutes to spare, I think we're done for the day. But if you've got one-on-one questions that you'd like to ask, Lynn and I are certainly going to stay here. I know, speaking for myself and Lynn, we thank you for your time in terms of being here. I know there's a lot of things that you'd like to do on a Saturday morning, even though it's rotten outside, but thank you for being here. Hope you learned something and good luck with your project.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good one. Thank you.
Hi, I know you guys were just talking about the attendance. I've been having issues with my connection all morning, like in and out. So I joined it like late and I just got like kicked out towards the end. So I didn't try to leave it early.
Okay, Danny, we'll write your name down. It's Danny Duran, right?
No, my name's Maddie.
It's showing up as DANIDURAN.
Oh, you want to know something too? My link got deleted. So my friend that did it this morning as well. Danny was also in the Zoom this morning. She resent me the link. She sent me hers.
Okay, give me your name then.
Maddie Gilmet, MADDYGUILMETTE.
Okay, Maddie, thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Kathleen.
I also just sent you a message, but I just wanted to make sure you knew. I just joined like a half an hour late because I had something this morning. but I was here for the like full 10 to 11. I just wanted to let you know.
Okay, your in and out time will be reflected, Emily. Thanks for letting us know.
Okay, bye.
Yeah, I also joined late, probably at like 9:45.
Okay, for those of you who joined late, just remember that you missed sometimes what's the most important part in terms of a resume. We're going to be posting the link, so you might want to go back and watch what you missed.
Okay, for like, we don't have to submit anything for this, right? Like they'll just know that we joined the Zoom.
Right, your attendance will be recorded and sent to your instructor.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Do we
Thank-
still get credit if we were like half an hour late?
You will get credit because like I said, your time in and your time out is reflected. But in terms of what you might have missed, you might want to go back and watch the first part of the video.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Thank-
Yeah, Emily, oh, she just disappeared. I was gonna say we covered the resume piece, but she's gone. Any other questions for anyone else who's kind of hanging out? I think we got like 10 more people there, or 11 more people. All right. Do you want to stop the recording?
I am going to do that right now.